the Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Good afternoon. Nope, good evening. Happy Sunday. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. So you know the drill. While you are getting settled in for the show, hit the share button, share Amazing Women Speak so your friends and followers can get in on this conversation. And Amazing Women Speak is sponsored by the Amazing Women Network, which was created to unite and empower Black women globally, focusing on our pillars of owning our personal power, mind, body, and spirit, owning our financial power, and increasing our social involvement. Visit us on the web at amazingwoman, WOMAN, network.com. So let's talk about owning your space and power. Because there's something magical that happens when you stop shrinking and allow yourself to truly be seen. But being seen isn't just about visibility. It's about standing in your truth, honoring your voice, and no longer waiting for permission to take up space. Whether it's in a room, a relationship, or a dream, this conversation is a call to stop hiding and start showing up fully, boldly, and freely. So the freedom of being seen, owning your space and power. Definitely let's jump right in. Michele, welcome to the show, dear. How are you?
Good evening. I am well. How are you?
Marvelous.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Looking forward to tonight's conversation for sure. So, wherever you are joining us from, we ask you to be a part of this conversation. Drop your questions, your comments in the chat. We'd love to pull you in and make you a part of tonight's conversation as we have done in the past. But we cannot do that without bringing in our amazing guests. So we invite in Annette. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, wait, we can't hear you. Are you on mute? She is like, we heard you just fine before. Technical difficulties, that means it's going to be a great conversation. Nope. Go out and come back in, Annette. And so while she's doing that, one of the things that I told her when she came in and we were just chatting before we started was, I truly appreciate driving through the city of Detroit and seeing her up on the billboards as a Motor City Match winner and what she is doing with her business. I know a little bit of her story, but I'm definitely interested and excited to hear her tell us more today, if we can hear her.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
You be in tech.
Right.
Can
So
you
go
see me
ahead.
okay?
Yeah, we can. Let's introduce yourself. Let the audience know who you are.
My name is Annette Anderson. I am the owner of First Step Healthcare Training. And what First Step Healthcare Training is a school where we offer accelerated programs to teach students how to become CNAs, phlebotomists, EKG technicians in less than 3 weeks. And we get them into the healthcare field.
So, like I was just saying before you jump back in, I know a little bit of your story, right?
hmm
And we always like to go back before we go forward. So you definitely are in a place where you own your space and power now. But can you go back and tell us about a time when you did not?
Oh yes, most definitely. Growing up, when I was a teenager, I didn't own my space or power. I didn't know who I was. Had no idea that I'll be sitting here owning a healthcare school. Um, I tell my story to a lot of people. I was a teen mom, got pregnant at 15, ended up having this kid at 16 and dropped out in ninth grade and excuse me. And just didn't think that I was going to ever become anybody. But I met a mentor who spoke greatness into me and told me that I can be whatever I wanted to be. And that propelled me on my journey to going to go get my GED, become a CNA, then a registered nurse, and now a school owner. So, yes, so now I stand very proudly in my power and my ownership, and I teach the same to every student who crosses my path. I feel like it is my personal duty to teach them that they can be whatever they want to be and that they can hold them back from that journey.
I love that. I love that. So you mentioned that you had a mentor.
Yes.
Do you think without that mentor, because words are important and people pouring into us is important, right? Do you think you would have accomplished what you've accomplished? And I believe you would have, but do you think that mentor made the road easier?
Oh, yes. So she came into my life when I was 16, when she was my therapist actually. And she came in and it was supposed to be a strictly professional relationship, but she seen my environment and she said if I would have left you there, I don't know where you would have been at.
Mm.
So her coming into my life made me believe in myself because I've always been smart, but I didn't believe I was smart. I always knew that I wasn't supposed to be in the environment I was in, but I didn't know how to get out of it. So literally she was that person that taught me how to be emotional intelligent because I did not know how to deal with my emotions. I was a very angry, upset person because of my environment growing up. And she taught me so many things that taught me how to make it in this world. If I wouldn't have had her, I don't know where I would have been at. So that's why when I get my students, no matter what age they are, if they're 16, if they're 20, they're 30, they're 40, they're 50, I'm pouring into them because sometimes you just need that person to tell you, like, hey, you got to think this way, act this way, and change your mindset, and it'll help you. So, yeah.
So, making a shift from being a teen mom to the medical field, right? Did you try some other things on, or is that something that was always with you that you wanted to give back in that way?
Oh no, I was a job hopper. So I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Wendy's, I worked at Kohan, I worked at Walmart, I worked at Target. I worked all of these entry level jobs and I used to quit them. I would just go in there, work a couple of weeks and be like, this is not it for me. And I would quit. But I always wanted to do healthcare. I just never knew that I can get there, especially because I didn't have a high school diploma. I eventually got into a CNA program that accepted me coming in with a GED. And I got there and I said, oh, yeah, this is it. I'm home. This is what I want to do. This is my passion. And then immediately after I got into CNA school, I joined nursing school and started doing my prereqs to get into nursing school because I knew that was for me. The other jobs, they were not for me. Healthcare was my passion.
That's amazing. But Michele, I'm going to ask you a question because as we go back, like I know you down in for years to be this super dynamic, stand in front of the room, move the crowd, always holding space for somebody else, always talking life and speaking life into other people. Tell us about a time when you did not own your space and power. Not the chuckle.
Right. Early in my career, really trying to chase something in a way that was not natural to me, but was the environment that I was in. And so I would get in these rooms and just be grateful as a young Black woman, just to be in the room, and had no voice. And the approaches that I used to get in the room were really male dominated because I was seeing men around me get promoted in that way. And so that's how I entered the space. And then I got in there, was like, yep, I have no words. So I just sat grateful to be in the room. And then for too long, I was the only one that looked like me in all of the rooms. And that did not feel right. So I think it was more about feeling accountable to other Black women so that they could sit at the table, that they could have a voice, than it was, I think, for my own self, even more wanting to be a better example for my daughters, to be able to sit in spaces and use your voice and recognize that it's more than just being at the table, right? Like your voice matters, and no space is ever going to be made better with my voice being on silent. So once that clicked for me, it was right, like, let's go. Every room has to have space for other Black women or other marginalized women to be able to utilize their voice. But for a very long time, I was content with just being in the room.
And I think that's important for our listeners to understand and recognize, because somebody is sitting there listening and going through this thing where they have the urge and they're being, I don't know, silently pushed. Something inside of them is saying, you got to speak up, you got to find your voice. And we talk about finding our voice a lot on this show. And even if it's hard, like, I think you gotta, you have to do it. One, because you feel better on the other side. There's a freedom to it once you find it, and then you don't stop. But I think it's really important. And I think it also goes back to that tribe. Even if it's not your tribe of close friends, but those coworkers in those spaces, those mentors that help you do it and own your voice and own your space. And I think without it, so if you have the opportunity to do that and to be that for somebody, I think it's our duty.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
Annette, like, really a similar question for you, because I can imagine, as being a young mother, very motivated by your child to come to a different level, right? Like to stay on a path and really push it and own it. Was there a time when you recognized that even doing it for your child wasn't going to be enough, that you needed to do it for yourself? And was there a shift when you discovered that, if you discovered that?
So I didn't realize that doing it for my son wasn't enough until last year.
Mm,
So for the last, my son, he'd be 18 this year. So for the last 17 years, literally everything in me has been for him, because I've always felt like, hey, you didn't ask to be here. I don't want you to grow up in poverty how I did. So if I have to do whatever it takes to make it so that you don't know what it feels like to go through these impoverished times I've had to go through, I'm going to do that. But last year when I opened this school, I realized that it's not just for him no more. Now I have to do something for the community, because it is so many people out here, young people, that don't think they have any other option. They may have had a child young, they may be living in an environment that's not conducive to them, or they just have low self-esteem and they think that where they're at right now is where they're going to always be at. So I made it my duty that I have to use my voice and my platform to let them know, like, hey, you can go as far as you want to go. As long as you can believe in yourself and you can push yourself to do it every single day, you can do it. Now, it might not happen tomorrow. It may not happen a month from now, but if you stick to it, I guarantee you a change is going to happen. So last year was when I realized that I'm not just doing this for my son. I have to do this for everyone who looks like me and my son.
I love that.
But does it wind up being a heavy burden to carry?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In just the year that my school have been open, I've had, now my numbers say 181 people have enrolled into my program. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm literally like, I've touched all of these people's lives. And it is heavy. It's very heavy. It takes a toll on me emotionally and mentally. So that's why I try to have me outlets. But that's what I took on when I told God that when I answered the when I answered that speech that God gave me, when He told me I had to go do this. I'm like, okay, you could have picked anybody else to do this, but you chose to pick me. So I'm gonna be obedient. I'm gonna do what you asked me to do, and I gotta stick to it. I gotta make sure I change the way that everyone see their mindsets. I have to. I can't, like, I literally get up with that purpose every morning, every single morning.
So when you have a passion for community, right? Like, and I put this out here for both of you to answer. And the community does not respond to what you're offering, right? Like the one client, Krista, the one client, right? That you really, and they're just not there yet. You're not ready. They're not ready. What does that do for you? Is there frustration? Does it make you double down? Right? Like, because sometimes folks just aren't in the space. They can't see for themselves what you see in them, right? Like, Annette, you talked a little bit about that in your childhood, right? It took your mentor to bring some of that out of you. When you have this call to community service and the folks in the community aren't responding, or that one particular student, what do you do with that? How do you reconcile that?
Oh, I get this at least one per class, and I take it personal, but I'm learning not to take it as personal because I keep telling myself, "You not gonna reach everybody. You can't. And if you can't change everybody, that's okay. Look at how many people you did reach. And that's how you know the difference that you made." So it's at least one per class. And I get so frustrated and I'm like, why? If you just come in and you follow the blueprint I give you, I
Right.
promise your life will change. You're frustrated because you're not making enough money, you're in a career that you don't like, and you don't feel like you're fulfilled. Follow my blueprint. But if they can't follow that, then I'm getting to a point where now I'm like, you can't save everyone. And it's not weighing as heavily on me. But in the beginning, I used to just come home and be like, what can I do? And I'll reach out and reach out and reach out, and they'll ignore you. So I'm like, okay, they clearly don't want your help. So leave them alone. Now you look kind of crazy. Keep calling this person, like, how can I help you? I can help you. No. I'm learning to just let it go. Just let it go.
It it's difficult, and you do take it personal. And I remember Heather said this to me some years ago, and it was the most freeing thing um, that I had heard. And she told me, Crystal, your job is to deliver the information. You cannot make somebody do a thing. And I said, okay, because I always took it personal because I see this greatness inside of people, but they're just not ready to move. So I had to switch and flip it from, it's like focusing on the yeses instead of the nos. So you got to flip it and say, let me feed into the people who want to be fed. It doesn't mean that you still don't want to help those people over there who are shying away, but also everybody is not ready and everybody can't go. However, there is the seed that has been planted, and you hope and pray that they come back around at some point and say, okay, now I'm ready. And that's just kind of how I get through it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can spin the block. Go ahead. Come on back around.
You can go the long way, or you can follow this blueprint and go the short route. The choice is yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes, especially when we feel like we're doing something that we've been called to, we feel like we have to do all of the things, right? And Annette, like, there's not one um, conversation that we have that we don't talk about our faith, right? Like, our belief doesn't come up as a part of the conversation. And so, really needing to balance understanding that, yes, you have a calling, but the word is clear, right? Like, Apollos planted, right? Somebody else watered. Paul planted, Apollos watered. God gave the increase. We get so committed that we sometimes try to plant and water, and God didn't call us to do both, right? Like, so go on and circle that block because somebody else might water, or two
Hmm.
seasons from now, I might get an opportunity to water a seed I planted 2 years ago. Sometimes that call feels so heavy. We don't want to disappoint. We don't want God to think we're not taking advantage of our gift, that we feel like we have to bring everybody along, and not the case and not the call. So the idea that you elevated to saying, yep, I can't get everybody, is okay.
Yes.
Is okay, right? Because you've improved lives for the other 99.
Yes.
You still want to strangle them though. Like, are you
Like,
serious right
no.
now? You
I had one student, she literally left out of my class and she was upset with me because she said I didn't teach her how she wanted to be taught. I was like, No, you didn't put the work in to get taught. You thought I was gonna let you skim past. I will not. If your other classmates was able to get it done, you could have. Come to me if you need additional help. But don't say I don't teach you. Mm-mm. Not everybody's gonna do it the same way, or not everybody gonna want it the same way. So I'm learning to just let it go. Let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, because they're gonna come up with the excuses, and it's gonna be everybody and everything but them. But yeah,
But I let students know dang well, I don't take excuses. I am the worst person to come to with excuses. I done had everything in the world happen to me. You better go find somebody else. I don't do excuses.
Ooh, not today, not today.
At all.
So, when did you know, going from just the career of nursing to wanting to be able to teach it and open a school and do that? Like, how did that come about?
So honestly, this really came about after COVID. COVID hit. It was a scary time for healthcare professionals, really for everyone, but it was really scary for healthcare professionals because we had to just be in there. There was no turning away. And due to this, healthcare start letting individuals in without the proper credentials.
Mm.
Nursing students weren't going to clinicals because they couldn't, so they were learning on the computers. CNAs were no longer being made to be certified. They were just hiring people from off the streets. And I tell everyone this, they were hiring people from off the streets. If you came in and you said, I want to be a nursing assistant, they hired you and gave you on the job training. That didn't work because you're learning how to do all this information within a couple of days, maybe even a week. And I tell my students every day, you are only as good as your trainer. If your trainer is
Mm.
not good, you're going to be just how they are because that's how you were taught. You don't know anything
Mhm.
different. So, because of this, healthcare started declining where I didn't feel safe being a nurse anymore. I didn't feel safe. I said, you know
Wow.
what? People are coming in here. These nursing assistants are not doing vitals how they should. They're not reporting things. People are falling. Nothing's happening how it should have been happening or used to happen back when I first became a nursing assistant. And I told myself, I have to get away and open up a school and train people the way I know they need to be trained. I said, if I can change healthcare, all the bad apples will get put out and they'll bring in the good ones.
Mm.
So that was my motivation behind opening the school because I couldn't sit back and watch anymore. It was getting to the point where I was like, I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to walk in. I was afraid to walk in because I'm like, I'm overworked right now because now I'm doing my job and the nursing assistant's job because they're not trained properly. And I think it was one incident, one young lady had, not cleaned up a patient as I was doing a admission. And I asked her why. And she said, oh, because I couldn't find you. And I said, excuse me? You had four other coworkers on the floor with you that you could have went and grabbed. Well, I don't like them. Excuse
Oh.
me?
Oh.
Okay.
All right. That was my push to really get my school open. I said, oh yeah, no, 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 no. Where you think that you can't do your job because I'm not there to assist you, that's a problem. And I
Right.
let my students know every day. I let them know in the classroom, this is not to put you down, but I want you to remember this saying, I can do what you can do. You can never do what I do. Not in
Ooh.
your role. You cannot do what I do in your role. You can't go hang drips. You can't go do any type of conversions. You can't do none of this stuff. You can't. So grab your coworkers and take care of that patient. You don't leave patients a certain way because you don't want to
Right.
go grab somebody you don't like. That's not how that works. So that was my push. That was my push because they don't know how to properly do it. These nursing assistants working in the healthcare, they're not doing it correctly. Or some of the nurses, not just nursing assistants. There are some nurses who's not doing things right. So that's why I'm opening a nursing school. I'm going to train the best people possible and get the bad apples out.
I love that. I
That's
love that.
powerful.
And thank you to your
I didn't
commitment.
feel safe. I didn't If I had to go into a hospital, I literally was supposed to have surgery a year ago. I told my best friend, like, you need to be here with me every step of the way. Don't leave my side because I'm scared.
Damn.
Wow.
And when you're already at your most vulnerable, right? Like whatever your ailment is, right? None of us are running to the ER or running to a hospital because we want to, right? Well, I won't say everybody. The majority of us aren't doing that. So the idea that you get less than quality care at a time when you're feeling very vulnerable is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Very.
and we don't know the difference, right?
You
Like,
don't. You walk in
Right.
and think that you're receiving pretty good care. In reality, You're not. And especially if you have a grandmother, a grandfather, a mother, or father, and they can't speak up for themselves and be their own advocate. No. So I'm not okay with that. I'm gonna change healthcare. They gonna realize that my way of doing things is the standard.
I love that.
That
I
I
love
know,
that.
right?
So how do you get through? I'm not going to say around. How do you get through the pushback
From the students,
from anyone who, right? Like they want the hurry up, right? Like, because they're still trying to fill vacancies. There are students who still want to get the fast workaround. How do you work through that? Because it is very clear to me in your voice that this health system 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now is going to look different because of the work that you're doing, right? Like I am clear of that.
Right.
There's no doubt in your voice when you communicate that. And somebody always wants more faster, right? Like, so how are you getting through that part of the pushback?
so my programs, they are accelerated, but I tell people like my school is a boot camp. When you walk through these doors, if you're not ready to be pushed to limits that you are not
Mhm.
willing to go through, you got to turn around. And I don't give refunds. That'd be my biggest thing. I do not give refunds. The moment you pay me, your money is gone. So I say, if you're not ready to go through this boot camp, don't come here. So in my 2-week program with my CNAs, literally for that entire day they're in my classroom, they're working. When they go home, they're working. If you have children and family and you have jobs, you got to work around it to make this happen. Because before I stamp my name on you and say that I give you approval, I got to make sure you're worthy. So I
Love it.
train my staff to do the same thing. My staff is on them the same way I'm on them. You walk through these doors to boot camp. There is no now. You have a good time. My class is very fun. Like we gonna have a great time because I have a great personality. But I let them know when things get serious, they serious. Before you leave in my program, I'm gonna make sure you know what you're supposed to do because you will not get out here and be clueless. I just saw too many clueless nursing assistants out here. They can't do manual blood pressures. That was a problem to me. You can't rely on a machine to tell you things. Machines, they break, they're faulty. Can you do this manually? Can you look at somebody and know when an emergency is happening? So I literally put them through a very rigorous 2 to 3 weeks. Very rigorous. I
So
said one day somebody got recorded. It's so rigorous.
and as a young mother, odds stacked against you, where did the confidence come from?
Ah, just wanted to be better. I wanted my son. I want my son to look at me and be proud of me. Because unfortunately, I don't see them look at my mother. Um, I know she did the best with us that she could, but I can tell that a lot of things she regrets and she didn't live her full potential. And I've always felt like I don't want to die not living my full potential. When I die, I want to know that I've done everything I possibly can and that my child is proud of me. So my son could have always grew up and said, I had a mom who had me at 16 was a high school dropout. And that could have been it for his story.
Right.
But now my son get to say, I have a mom who was a 16-year-old high school dropout and she opened a school and she changed the lives of thousands and one day hundreds of thousands. And she's on billboards and people look up to her and she's mentoring people. She's changing lives. That is the passion behind everything is my son being able to brag on me.
I
Wow.
love it.
Wow. So let's get into the billboards. Because I met you probably what now? Maybe a couple years ago. Um, and and at that time, just was proud of the things that you were doing and your story. And then it was almost like, you know, nothing happens overnight, but when people see it, especially on social media, it seems like it happened overnight. But you were grinding and putting in the work for pitch competitions, finding ways to fund your business, your goals, your dreams. What was that process like? And how did you get over the times when you wanted to just give up?
Um, so I will say that I knew I couldn't give up because I literally took every dollar I had. and put into this business. So I won a grant through Motor City Match, and that carried me a few months. Actually, carried me for a while because I had used all my savings to start a business. So I was very crazy a few years ago. And I say that because back in 2023, I decided I was going to open this business and buy a house.
Hmm.
I said I was going to do both of these things. So December of 2023, I bought the house. I closed on it and moved in. And then January of 2024, I opened a business. So as you can imagine, I was tapped out financially because those were two big purchases, but I knew I had to make it happen. Um, so I just worked as much as I could, as much as my body can handle. And literally, I was probably sleeping 2 or 3 hours a day, but I had to get it done. And then I eventually realized that I could start doing pitch competitions because, again, I was financially tapped out. And doing those pitch competitions, they heard the passion in my voice of what I was doing and what I wanted. And that allowed me to start gaining some type of capital. And it do feel like it happened overnight because I opened that school in January, and then next thing you know, Motor City Match, and then I'm winning this and winning this award, and then the billboards came in November, and it was just like, oh my gosh, everything started going very fast motion. But when I look back at the memories that pop up on my phone or social media, I see that I was putting in a lot of work
Mhm.
every single day. And I couldn't give up because once again, I have to change the lives of those around me. Nobody came into my high school, well, middle school, because I only made it to ninth grade. So nobody came into my middle schools or my ninth grade year of high school and looked like me and told me that I can become this. Nobody
Right.
did that. I didn't
Yeah.
know what was possible. It took me years of nursing to realize that I can open a business. So it, even when I'm tired and want to give up, I can't. I can't. I need to change the lives of a lot of people. I need to know that I was that person that made a lot of people know that they can do it and that they looked up to me. I have to so I don't give up. And then I can't go back to nursing. I can't go back to being an employee. I've gotten so used to being an entrepreneur that I have to stick with it because now it's freedom. I've worked my son entire life and now I get to say, okay, well, I'm taking this week off and I'm going to go spend some time with my child. Or I'm leaving now because my son needs me and not a job
Right.
telling me you're not going anywhere because we don't have a replacement for you. I can't go back to that. I kind of owe him a few years of my life.
I love that. I love it. So, what's next? You've got first step healthcare training. What's next?
A nursing school. My next, well, not even just a nursing school. So my next step is to get an LPN program going. That'll be happening early next year of 2026. But I want to have a college. I don't want to just have a nursing school. I want a college where I have engineering programs and electrician programs and nursing programs. But I want this college to be for people like me because in my nursing school, I didn't get one scholarship. I went to nursing school out in Port Huron. It was a predominantly white school. I had a 4.0 GPA and they didn't give me one scholarship. And I said, you know what? When you come to my school, you're going to have assistance. I'm not going to put you in debt. I'm going to figure out ways to help you through this and I'm going to be there for you. And you get to walk past and see a woman of color who look like you owns this school. So one day you could say, want to own a school because now my students they come in my classroom the first day. Oh, I want to go in school and I want to do this, I want to do that. And then when they leave my class, they're like, I'm going to open a nursing home. Yes, you can open a nursing home. I'm going to get an assisted living building. Oh, you can get that. Or I'm going to get a mobile phlebotomy building and get contracts and be my own boss. Yes, you can do that. So my motivation is to get a college.
Wow. I love it. I love it.
So when you talk about your students, it's clear that you give them more than just the healthcare instruction. You really are speaking life into these students and changing the way that they think. Did you think that it would turn out the way that it has? to hear
No.
students say, I want to go and I want to open a nursing home or I want to do this. Was that your thought initially, or was it just to, you know what, I want to make the healthcare system better?
No, it was just to make the care system better. I honestly didn't know what to expect when I opened the school. I didn't even know people was gonna start coming to my school because it was so many months of nobody coming in there. But when I finally got them in there and start talking to them, um, my very first student, she was 16 years old and she was going through things at home, and I would just talk to her and I would just tell her like, this is temporary. Pretty soon you'll be an adult and you remember the things how you felt and you change that with your children. And you remember the things that you felt growing up and you change the way you are. You make feel that you're not that person that you didn't like. And I did a course evaluation at the very end of the class, and she told me, she said, you spoke confidence into me, you made me so much happier, and you made me feel like I could do whatever. Then I realized, like, okay, now we got to start doing some motivation. So what helped me was listening to Les Brown every day, a motivational speaker. I listened to his every single day. I mean, to get myself out of nursing to open this business. So now I started having them listen to motivational speeches every day. And when they come in there, I give them life lessons. I'm like, listen, I've been through a lot of my years of life, and I want to make sure that you don't bump your head and go through what I went through. So
Mm-hmm.
I teach them about financials. I say, listen, there's these accounts. You get a high yield savings account where your money can grow for you. Get you a real bank account. No more Chime,
No
no
more
more
chime.
Cash App. Get you a real bank account. Okay. Work on your credit score. And I start getting resources to help with these things. That's why I throw health and wellness fairs or things like that to help them with this. And I throw job fairs because I'm like, I don't want to just help you here. I want to help you in every aspect of your life. I teach them about relationships. Hey, you with a man right now. That man is jealous of you. Break up with him. That man doesn't want to push you to the next level and he's not happy for you. Don't be with him. If you got a gut feeling it ain't working, end it. Don't have kids that you don't need to have because
Mm,
some of them are coming to me and they have a lot of children. I'm like, hey, focus on you and have those kids a little bit later when you're together, because that's how we gonna stop this poverty line from keep happening. Let's work on that. So I try to pour into them as much as I can because they say, hey, Miss Annette, why you don't have any more kids? I needed to make sure I was financially stable first. I'm not gonna keep having kids and I don't have the finances to take care of them. I learned my lesson with the first one. So I try to pour into them as much as I can, and a little. I can tell that I get a little personal with them, but that's because I'm more of like, I'm not just your instructor. I want to be your mentor, and I also want to be like a big sister to you, or to whoever comes in. Even if it's somebody that's older than me, I want to be a helping hand to let you know, like, let's just work on the way that we do ourselves. Let's treat ourselves better, and if we stop doing certain things to hurt ourselves, we won't hurt our community.
mm,
Mm,
That'd be the
mhm.
main thing. Like,
mm.
okay, yes.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
I love the healing that you're doing. You're not just instructing, you are healing your students, and that's super, super powerful. Do you get a lot of young men coming, or not a lot, but any young men?
Yes. I'm
Really?
starting to get a lot of young men. I actually just had my first male phlebotomist student, and I'm gonna post his video with he when I saw this young man, I saw his page, I'm like, how are you doing? And he came in my class and I talked to him and I said, listen, you have an outside life, but you're gonna have a professional life. So
Mm,
certain things you don't want the professional world to see, but you master what you do, and then you can do whatever you want to do. But you got to
Right.
master it first. And he ended up being my most successful student in the class. Like, and he told me, he said, thank you for this opportunity. And he actually was a raffle student. I do raffles sometimes for scholarships where you can buy a $1 raffle ticket or $5. And he won off, I think, of a $5 raffle ticket. And I gave him an education, and he was just like, you don't understand what this
That's
means for
incredible.
me.
wow.
I just want to help people. That's
That's incredible.
it. That's what
That is incredible too. Yeah,
I'm trying to
It's
get
a
more men
brilliant
in
marketing
healthcare.
strategy.
for sure.
I just want to get more men in healthcare. We need men in healthcare so bad, so bad.
We need more men in all of the fields.
Yeah, yeah.
We do.
I'm
We
trying to
just
change
need.
them.
Yeah, we need more men in all of the. What do you say to the person, to the entrepreneur who's stuck?
Change your mindset. So we wasn't built to be entrepreneurs. We weren't raised that way. Nobody taught us this. We didn't see it. At least I didn't. Change your mindset. You have to build yourself up and then pray. You got to just ask God, what path am I supposed to go on? And it might not seem like He put you on that path today, but you're going to look up and realize, like, oh, wow, that was the path that He had me on. He was doing that His time. So if you got to listen to a motivational speech every single day to erase that negativity that you have been brought up on, keep doing it. Do what you have to do and do not give up. Just because you don't have a customer that first day, that first month, or even that first year does not mean that your business will not be successful. You have to be consistent and you have to make people trust you. If they can't trust you because of the way that you're doing things, they won't come to you. So
Right.
build up a relationship with your community and let them know that you are trustworthy, and you have to work for free sometimes. I have done so many events for free, and that's because you want to get your name out there and you got to give back. So keep going. Don't give up. I promise it'll get easier. Just keep going. And go to business class. That was the best thing I could have ever did, was going to business classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes people believe, right, like because I have a passion for a thing, that that's enough. And it's not. It is a business that you are running. And you may not have all of the knowledge in all of the areas that you need. And being able to find the spaces where you have gaps and fill those in are going to be critical for your success. Absolutely.
And we
Yeah,
do have an incredible ecosystem in and around the city of Detroit for business classes and things of that nature. And I always say, just because you are naturally gifted and talented at cabinet making does not mean you know how to run a cabinet making business. There's
absolutely.
two different sides of that coin, and you do have to go get the knowledge. You absolutely, positively do. What what do you say to those people? And Michelle's gonna know why I'm chuckling at this. What do you say to those people who have a business and it is a thing, and they keep fighting that it's a thing?
Me?
Yes, you. Mm-hmm.
Say it one more time for me.
Yep. What do you say to the people who, let's frame it a little different, who have a talent, who wanted to start a business because they have this incredible talent, or who they have a business, right, and it really is a thing, but they try to limit it from being a big thing? Like, what do you say to those individuals?
Oh, you gotta stand on your stuff. Like I used to mess up and say, "Oh, my little school, my little business." No, it is a big business. It is major. You gotta stand on it, and you want to master it. Because if you sit back and you wait on something, guess what? Somebody else with that same idea is waiting on it, and they gonna come through and do it harder than you were doing it. And you don't want that. You want to stay consistent, and you want to go out there and make a name for yourself. Don't say something that you're doing is little. You gotta make a name for it and run with it while you had an idea. Like you have to just run with it while you got the idea and make it big. It could be very small, but make it big. Make it like you're doing the best thing out here.
Absolutely love your energy.
I know, right?
And people
Absolutely
see
love
you
it.
doing something over and over again, they go like, "Oh, what is she doing?" Like with my school, people are amazed to realize it's a real school. I'm like, "Yeah, it's a real school." They'll come in and they'll see the desk and chairs and all that stuff. I'm like, "You thought that was a real school?" Like, yeah, it's real. And then you gotta start showing the stuff you're doing. Just let people know that what you're doing is something big, and they gonna want to join, and they gonna want to help you when you're doing something. Biggest thing is when you're doing something, people want to help you.
We've been
Magic
conditioned as
signature.
Black women to be quiet, to be grateful for being in the room, being grateful for the opportunity. And well, yes, all of that is true. To be able to push past that and to own your space and power, I think is really, really phenomenal. And I appreciate the fact that you do it and you do it loudly. Like you do it, you know
And
what I
not
mean?
volume of
Yeah.
voice,
Yeah.
right? Like not volume of voice loud, but you
Mm-mm.
do it loudly.
Yeah.
I
You
love that.
show up
Yeah.
and you own that space, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to say. And I've seen you pitch, and it was a no-brainer. It was, and everybody was great, but it was like, yeah, that thing that Annette is doing is the passion showed up, and it shows up every time that you speak about what you do. You light up, and it's an incredible thing to watch. And that's contagious, and we need more of that in the world.
How do
Thank
you
you.
how do you make sure that your cup stays full?
Oh, I
Whew.
don't.
Oh,
Listen, this cup. Okay, wait, I take it back. So I recently got me a therapist. Um, I got me a therapist because I'm like, when I'm going through these moments where I'm not feeling like my authentic self and I'm feeling like I'm getting my imposter syndrome or feeling like I'm failing, I go speak to someone who give me resources to make myself look at different things differently. Now I'm starting to add on vacation time for myself because at first I wasn't. I was not adding in vacation time. I was just working, working, working. But now I'm carving time out to take vacations, and I'm taking time out to just go do stuff for myself. Like
good for you.
I got to get better with the self care. Like when I'm getting my hair done or nails done, don't answer my phone. Now I'm like, okay, on Sundays, I don't answer my phone. You can call me, you can text me, the
Good
business
for you.
line, I will not answer. You can send me an email. I'm not responding until Monday morning because I can't keep doing it 7 days.
Correct.
It, it burns you out. It,
Correct.
it burns you out. And just prayer. I just pray for discipline and pray for the strength to keep going. So that helps me a lot as well. But I'm not the best with self care. I'm working on it.
Good for you. I'm glad that you are. Somewhere along the line, we bought the story that said that we had to be 24/7 in order to prove ourselves worthy of whatever it is that we have. Rest is our birthright,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rest is liberation. And there is no badge for the person who works 70, 80 hours in a week and has nothing to pour out of because their cup is empty and you cannot pour. We've all heard from an empty cup. And so
Mm-hmm.
there is no badge of honor. We need to sell that story loudly, especially to our young Black girls, that rest is your birthright, rest is liberation. And there is enough to share some of this, that it does not all belong on our shoulders because we weren't designed, despite what society would say, to carry it in that way. And so I really love the idea that you are thinking about your community and healing it from a community level and allowing that to touch individuals along the way. Again, I am clear. I am clear. 3 years, 5 years from now, right? Like we will be hearing about the groundbreaking of, right? Like Annette
Thank
Anderson
you.
University. It's coming. It is written. I am clear. There's no hesitancy in your voice, in your dream. You are committed. And because of that commitment, right, like God will honor that. Just remember to rest along the way so that you can enjoy the fruits of all your labor. And your labor will be rewarded.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
A total joy to hear your story, to hear you speak with the passion that you speak with, to see you be able to deliver what you deliver to others. It's
So, Annette, I am curious, right? For someone who has done what you have done, is there anything you would do different? Right? Like again, there are overcome stories. But a lot of our Black girls who have babies at 15 and 16 aren't sitting in the seat that you're sitting in, right? They could
Yeah.
look back and say, I wish I had done this differently. Your story is really one of overcoming and still changing the narrative. Would you do anything different?
Would. I would. I'm not a person who would say, "Oh, I wouldn't trade anything." I would. I would have stayed in school. I wouldn't have dropped out in the ninth grade because I felt like that took away a lot of things that I needed to know. Because my knowledge came from life lessons. It
Mhm.
didn't come from learning in a classroom. I'm actually self-taught when it comes to a lot of the things I know. So I would prefer had to learn in the classroom. I definitely would not have had a child that young. I tell my son all the time, I love you more than life itself. You are the greatest thing I've ever had. However, if mommy had the option to not having a mother at 16, I would never be a mother at 16. That is a very hard thing to do. To have to, my first apartment, I got it with my son at 18. My first time learning how to drive, I had to do it with my child at
Right.
18.
Right.
My first real job, not just a summer job, but a real job, I had to do it with my son at 16. I was 16 years old working two jobs to take care of my son. I remember going from McDonald's to Burger King, working 6 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night to take care of my child. And that is something that I don't wish on anyone. Um, so I would not have had a child at 16. I would have stayed in a child's place. And it's definitely would have got into nursing sooner. I wish I would have went to nursing school at 18 instead of 23. I know that things would have been different then, and it's a lot I would have did differently. But this was the path that I had to go on because I needed to tell this story to others.
Right.
If I would have had a perfect fairy tale life, people wouldn't listen to me. But with me
Mm.
able to tell this life of how things were and how I overcame these obstacles, now I'm relatable to so many people. I get so many DMs and emails and messages about I had a baby at 15 as well, but I didn't get a chance to make this happen. Or
Right.
I had a baby at 15 as well, and now I'm a nurse and I want to know how you was able to do this. So I had to go through this journey to make myself relatable. But if I, that's why I talk to my students as much as I can, especially the young ones, and I tell them do not have children until you are financially stable because you are putting so much on yourself that you do not need to go through.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency and the vulnerability of that response, because not many people speak from that space. Grateful for what you have, no doubt, and right,
Oh
like
yeah, I
and
love this child. He's my
and.
best friend. But I tell him, I said, "Do you think you could have been a parent at 16?" And he's like, "No, I couldn't imagine." I'm like, "Yeah, you got somebody stuck to your hip for the time being. You got to go out there and make something happen for them. You can't be poor, be a bum, and say, 'Oh, well, it is what it is.' No, you got to go feed this little person."
So for the 16-year-old who has a child right now and is thinking they don't know what to do and they don't know how to get out of it, what do you tell them? Because we can't go back and say don't have a child, they have
No,
one.
you have it now.
Well, yeah, what's your message to them?
Keep going. Do not give up. Do not feel like you are a failure. Do not feel like you disgrace yourself or anyone around you. And if there is people that's telling you that you are a failure, do not listen to them. Those words were through at me every single day, but I did not listen to them. You remember that you are going to fulfill your purpose. You stick to what God gave you to do. You go to school, you get your education. Do not let this baby stop that from happening, and then you get you a career, you master it, and then you give back to your community and you teach others who have a child young. Spread your message and remember that this is not an ending point for you. This is just a life lesson. That's it.
I love it.
Love it.
I
I
do.
love it.
I love it. Annette, how can people reach you?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at First Step Healthcare Training. You can type out the word or you can put 1ST. I'm also on, we have a webpage at www.firststephealthcaretraining.com. I also do offer mentorship. When you come to my class, mentorship is automatically included in your tuition. But if you ever need someone to talk to, I actually talk to people and listen. So you can always contact me.
So tell us a little bit about the class, the length of class, how many weeks, how many hours a day? What does that look like for a student?
For my CNAs, they come to class Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. for 2 weeks. We also have a hybrid option. We do have an evening option, but I put that on pause until August. Soon we will have a weekend option coming for those that are working Monday through Friday. My phlebotomy course is 3 weeks. You go 3 days a week for 3 hours a day. My EKG program is 5 weeks. It's a virtual class, so you don't have to live in the state of Michigan to attend that class. And once you are done with each one of those programs, you can take your set exam. We are a very high rated set exam pass rate. Our numbers are super high. Like, one thing I am big on is making sure I teach you the correct way, because I don't want to just take your money. I want to give you value for your buck, and I want to change your life.
So do you recommend that a student take each one of the programs as
If
a
you are going for nursing,
okay.
yep. If you're going into the nursing field, I wish I'd known this before I got into nursing school, because it's literally learning all of the information you have to learn in nursing school, and it'll make it so much easier for you.
Oh,
Makes sense.
And our
yeah.
programs can be free. You do not have to pay for them out of pocket if you go through Detroit at Work, Michigan Works, or Michigan Rehabilitation Services.
Wow. So there's no reason why
No,
someone cannot.
no,
There's
no. The payment plans and take Klarna and Afterpay.
Come
There's
on.
no reason.
Yes.
None.
I love it. I think you said at the top of the show, like you're not for the excuses.
I don't do any excuses. You can't come to me with an excuse. Zero excuse. Excuses won't get you nowhere in life. It's gonna hinder you.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
I absolutely love that. Annette, thank you for being so transparent with your story, but also for being this incredible light that you are. Like, your energy is jumping off of the, you know what I mean? It just, you walk in a room, you light up a room. You did it here today. I thank you for all that you're doing for um those that look like us and those that need us, right? Especially in this healthcare field where we know what we go through when we visit these doctors and hospitals. So to be able to have your students come out and taking care of them, like, it's amazing. I absolutely appreciate you and everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you on more billboards for all of these next things that you will do coming soon. I am Crystal L. Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I definitely own my amazing. Michelle.
Yes. Annette, thank you. Like Crystal said, your energy is contagious. Anybody listening, I know they are thinking about, okay, what can I do? What should I be doing? I need to hold myself at a different level of accountability. That's the kind of contagious energy
Mhm.
that you bring. And I'm so very grateful to have been able to share this space with you. You are truly a
Mhm.
gift. And I promise I cannot wait to read
Yeah.
when school opens up, your university. Like, we're not even going um, community college. We're going university with this thing. It is written in the stars, and I can't wait to be able to one day read that article when you break ground on that. Thank you so much. You have been a true, true pleasure. Crystal, always thank you for creating space, for being obedient to the call that God put on your life, to help us recognize that there is space that we can hold with one another, that we can uplift and encourage and love on one another. Because, as you say, it was established at birth that each one of us are amazing. And so you
Mhm.
continue to create space for us to have these kind of conversation. And I'm so very grateful to be able to sit on this stage with you and have these conversations, this virtual stage, and have these conversations with you. My name is Michele Harper, and without apology, I own my amazing because my Blackness says that I can. Annette.
I definitely want to say thank you to both of you ladies for having me on this show. It is such a pleasure just to be able to use my voice and to say what I'm thinking. And I'm always so happy whenever I have the opportunity. Thank you, Crystal. It was so amazing meeting you. And I'm happy that you was able to see the beginning journey before I even had a school. I definitely look forward to meeting you in person, Michelle. I just want to say to those out there, listen, believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing you can do. Believe in yourself and just talk life and positivity to those around you and just be a nice person. If you just be a nice person, I swear life will be good to you. And I own myself. I own my business. I own everything about me. And I know that I have the right to be successful, and so do you.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you to the newcomers and to those who tune in each and every week. We appreciate you. There will be no show next week. So we wish you an early, happy Easter. We will be back in 2 weeks. So have a great night and have a great 2 weeks. We'll see you later.